Welcome to Go Home Eat, a wrestling podcast. This will be our wrestling episode. We will start with Impact and move into Dynamite, probably not getting into Dark this week. Impact, Kiera Hogan, Tasha Steele versus Kylie Ray and Susie. What did you think?
Pretty good match.
This is New Japan Jared and the Go Home Eat Kid Ray.
Yes.
All right. You liked it.
I liked it.
Kylie Ray showcases herself. You liked it too.
I quite liked it too.
Nice. Susie.
It made me smile.
Yes.
Susie is a
smiley.
good wrestler, but all of her flaws are hidden when she is the evil undead bride or whatever, right?
Yes.
Whereas the other three in the ring are awesome. Kylie Ray is just showcased the entire time.
Absolutely.
Amazingly so. Susie takes the pin, justifiably so. Kylie Ray gets to showcase who she is, and Hogan and Steele are a force to be reckoned with inside of the women's division in what may be the strongest overall women's division in wrestling right now.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And, they're all just really good. There's a lot.
Well, especially if you consider the fact that, the WWE is 3 divisions. You know what I mean?
They have the largest, they have, the deepest single division.
Right, but it's not one division because there's 3 champs and there's 3, you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
There's 6 wrestlers on this show that are pretty good and then 4 on that show that are pretty, So I get I agree. I think it's the best wrestling division in women's wrestling right now, for sure.
I would say so, absolutely.
Okay, Ace Austin, and two, there's a more of because they're all on one show, you get the opportunities to have different matchups.
Yes,
that you
constantly.
You're not going to have the same 3 people wrestling each other every time. Or, as I like to call it, the Britt Baker effect.
The Britt Baker effect. We'll get there.
Dentist. Austin. Ace Austin is ready for bigger and better things. Moose interrupts to let him know that when he wins the number 1 contender match, he should absolutely not wrestle Tessa and yet wrestle a former offensive lineman from the Atlanta Falcons who looks like a killing machine instead for a title that may not even be true.
Did you see how big he was next to Ace Austin?
Yes.
He's twice his size.
Yeah, Ace was looking up at him nah, I'm good. I'll wrestle for the actual world championship.
Tessa, she's her, she's same height as me.
We're basically the same size.
And maybe.
And you're no. Why would I, for a title that may not even exist? If I win it, did they just take it back now? No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, if I win it, I would give it to them and they would put it back in the box that you got it from.
Right. They're just, actually, they're afraid of you. Yeah, so that's why you get to keep it. They would come take it from me, Okay, so Crazy Steve, mentally unwell Steve, is up next and he will be wrestling Joseph P. Ryan. And what is the name of his crew?
Cancel culture?
Yes, a lot of people are not real happy with the cancel culture, but it's going somewhere, we hope. He has talked the Christ Brothers, OVE, which has splintered. Now they've lost Sammy and Madman Fulton, so it's just the Christ Brothers. And we get a match. It is okay, if not great. We do get a post-match segment after Joseph P. Ryan gets the win, where he asked for the allegiance of Jake Christ, and Jake promptly kicks his brother in the face with a beautiful,
really good kick,
spinning kick.
Yeah, spinning heel kick.
Mm-hmm. And so Jake Christ is moving on, and I'm happy. I feel bad for the other brother. I don't know what will happen to him, but Jake needs more than what he's getting.
Jake is a great wrestler.
Yeah, and this is what we need. This is what we need. We're giving him an opportunity to do that. Rohi versus Chase Stevens. Who was an original TNA member, and he is okay. This was an okay match. Does not get the win because Raji does, and I guess he's going to move on. So I like the way this guy wrestles.
Me too.
And I like him being on his own. I don't know what happened to the rest of them. I don't know if they just can't get there or what's going on, but
I would assume that's a major reason. They might be.
But I like what's the move you mentioned? One of his moves that you really liked. It's like a flat line. It's a
jumping flatliner.
Yeah.
It's you just jump up and then just use that momentum to swing them into a flatliner.
Which is great. Yeah, absolutely great. Okay. So we're going to move on from that. We got Havoc and Eva.
Nevaeh.
Because
it's heaven backwards.
I think you've told me that on 2 separate episodes.
Yes.
It is heaven backwards.
Yeah.
Okay, but which is strange, heaven backwards. Now that I think about it, seeing as how you're talking about Havoc and Rosemary and undead people and all that, they're going to be a tag team. It looks like, or some form of a. She's going to guide Havoc,
some form of manager / partner. I don't know.
And I think Havoc could use direction, and I feel like this will be good. I'm all
since
for
the
it.
untimely undeath of Father James Mitchell.
Timely death.
Timely.
Johnny Swinger and Madison Rain
Well,
an episode of Locker Room Talk.
I mean, it was untimely for him. It depends on perspective.
Yes, it does. Untimely for him, but for the show, it went well. Gesundheit. Johnny Swinger, Madison Square Garden Rain.
That's yes.
In Chris Bay, Locker Room Talk. Johnny Swinger is the bee's knees here. He continually interrupts.
Any segment that Johnny Swinger is in, you can literally just sit there and watch him and his body language, and you don't have to understand anything else in the segment. He's always just entertaining.
He's one of those amphibious guys.
Oh my God.
He said Chris Bay was amphibious because he could do things with both hands.
Oh my God. So good. So good.
Well, the name that he gave him and Chris Bay's tag team was the Finesse and Bench Press Express,
which
was incredible.
Dude, I want him to stay with Chris Bay for a little while, because Chris Bay looks at him and it's like, okay, you come into a wrestling company, you want to take on a guy that's a force of nature like Willie Mack is, and you kind of need an ally because Willie has an ally.
Yeah.
And then you wind up having to pick Swinger because everybody else is either took up with what they're doing or they're kind of lone wolves, and Swinger kind of adopts you, and so you go, well, I guess I'll keep him around. He does have the Muda Mist in his fanny pack. That might help us. He's got a roll of quarters in there. Yeah, that might come in handy. He's willing to take all the pins in the tag matches. It's just, and I can't imagine it not being fun. Like getting stuck with him.
Absolutely.
That was great. Okay. And so then, and he ends the segment with brother, and Madison Rain says he can't say brother as if it's copyrighted by who maybe. And so then he goes, brother. Like it was a full conversation of one word. Yeah. So good. Okay, then we have a throwback segment. Lashley versus Drew McIntyre, Drew Galloway at the time. And I love the fact that every week...
It's going to be so much... that match was probably so much better than the one that they're going to have on Sunday...
Sunday week.
Mean, we only got to see the last little bit of the match, but I did like the ending.
And I think you're right. I think that this match that they're referencing, people will go back and watch that, get excited about what they're going to see on WWE television, not get something that good. Nothing against WWE television. It's just other matches on the card will be written better. That one will not be.
They're going to be like, hey, gotta tone it down. We're going to have the greatest match of all time.
Yeah, dude, they have to make room.
But my point to that is that's exactly what Impact hopes people will do. Right? Because
Absolutely.
And they do it so well. They've done this time and again. When AJ has a big match coming up, they'll show a highlight of something he's doing. Joe, same thing. Guys in Christopher Daniels, will see him doing something spectacular. It's
a good way to advertise their online service, where it's like, hey, you can go back and watch these guys that are now in other companies, but they were with us and they did great things here.
Right, and a lot of times they were better with us than what you're getting now because
Absolutely.
they had the freedom to create, and whether that be they're in AEW and it's just time constraints, or it's a negotiation process with a different person altogether where you're not in charge of the match anymore. Maybe that person you're in the ring with, Odie, is in charge of that match. But something
like that.
But anyway, I think it works for them. I think it really does. Jordani Grace interviews Taya Valkyrie.
Taya's a tall girl.
No, that's not what
not
happened at all.
No, it was
Jordani Grace was doing an interview with the little guy that
the Zombie Princess.
Yes, the Zombie Princess.
Oh my God, I can't remember his name. He's really good.
He's Jimmy Jacobs. We kind of sort of looked it up, and if you've ever you want to see something crazy, Go to his podcast and let him take you on his beliefs on the way the world is formed and how we are all molecules. He has a really good one with Seth Rollins, and he has a nutcase one with the Darewolf.
He has a nutcase one with something black.
Yeah, the Darewolf.
PJ Black?
PJ Black.
PJ Black. He was known as Justin Gabriel.
And I don't mean nutcase. If that's how you roll, if that's what you believe, I don't mean nutcase. I just mean
it's out there.
It is out there, and if that's how you roll, good for you. Because I think PJ Black is in a great place mentally. Nothing matters at all in the world because it's all just fiction.
Yes. I mean,
it's great.
There's valid, yeah.
There's validity in that.
Absolutely.
If you can wrap. I had a friend that used to say that I boil everything down to the zen of F it. If I can boil it down to that, then it doesn't matter too much, and I can kind of move through it. And I was like, oh, okay.
All right.
But it worked for him, and I've never been able to do that. I'm a little bit more of a fester and warrior than that, but we'll move on from that. Jacobs is interviewing Grace. Taya walks up, turns it into "Why have you been gone?" Which, of course, Jacobs mentions that Taya's been gone the whole time too. Which Taya's having none of that, of course, because she's not the champ. Therefore, she's not obligated to be on the show wrestling all the time, like Jordani should be. Jordani says, "We could wrestle now if you'd like," and Taya says, "No, I'm a little busy." And then she reluctantly accepts a match for next week. I thought it was great. Go ahead.
I liked how she was kind of like goth adjacent with the black lipstick and the black and white thing she was wearing. You know what I mean?
But totally not goth.
It wasn't totally not goth. It had I don't know. Like the black lipstick especially. I don't know. It felt like a Rosemary influence.
Correct, but black, like she had the black fuzzy earphone things.
Yes.
Not ear mugs.
Yes.
And that's not. But it is.
But it is.
It was her attempting to give Rosemary that olive branch by wearing black in a more girly, glossied up
her
kind
style.
of way. Her style of goth. Ty is awesome, and this was good. It was all good, and we're going to get that match later. She screams Johnny's name as she walks off. TJP versus Falaba.
No, TJP and Falaba versus the Rascals, Dez and Wentz.
Yes, and it was great.
This match was a banger. This match ruled. It was really
Falaba
creative.
wore shoes.
Huh?
Falaba wore shoes.
I didn't even notice. Did he really?
Yeah, it was weird.
That's odd.
Yeah. But let's go ahead.
Does he find it is it unsanitary to wrestle without shoes, do you think?
I would guess he cut his foot or something. You know what I mean? So
dudes' faces are all on the mat that you've been walking on.
You know what? That could be legitimate in there somewhere because for whatever reason, and again too, if he's got a cut on his foot anywhere, or if he hurt a toe or something, but whatever. And it was great, like you said. There were a couple of original spots in there. You want to talk about them?
Yeah, they TJP and I think it was Wentz had each other in a small package. And Falaba, instead of breaking out the pin, he just rolls them so TJP's on top and pinning, and then Dez comes in and rolls Wentz over on top.
Right.
It was again just little stuff like that where it was creative, and then the finish I thought was fantastic. So Dez goes for was it Wentz? No, it was Dez. Dez goes for a springboard kick, like a somersault springboard kick, and TJP manages to catch him in a leg bar. And then he gets over to the ropes and he kind of gets up to an almost standing position while TJP still has the hold in. And then Wentz pushes him over so he goes into a bridging pin.
Right.
It was super cool. He gets the pin from that. It was awesome. It was just a great little match.
And again, you see how this company manages to figure out new ways to reinvent old scenarios.
Absolutely.
And they do that all the time. And
the wrestlers just feel like this match felt like they were just you know what would be awesome?
Yeah.
If we did this, and it was cool and creative, and I love matches like that.
It also lends me to believe that Scott Gilmore or whoever guides the program overall says, I need you to get to this point. You figure out how you get there.
Yes.
I know Wentz has to win with I know the Rascals need to win. You figure out how we get there. You need to look strong. You need to look strong. You figure it out. You know what I mean? And it just feels like there's not a whole lot. Once they get to a certain point where they can trust them, they let them write the scripts on the ring work.
And dude, the Rascals perform and live up to expectations beyond expectations every single time they wrestle.
So does TJP.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Big Boy too. You know, Falaba does, like you said, he does unique things for a man his size, but he also thinks. Go ahead.
I love their tag team move they have where TJP gets on Falaba's back. Like a backpack, and then they do like a splash together. I don't know. It's great.
Right, but again, it's just having some fun out there, and you know. All right, so then we wind up with, we said the Rascals wind up winning,
Yes.
and they are going to be number one contenders, right? Tag teams,
which the Rascals versus the North,
which is going to be great.
Going to be great.
Absolutely. Now Diana Prazo does a great promo here. And I'm ready for her to get started already. We have Johnny Bravo and Rosemary on their first date, which is wonderful. Rosemary's looking to possess Johnny Bravo's soul at some point, which is the object of most dates. And
she offers him a poisoned apple or some kind of...
Yes, there's symbolism there. As
we'll
she
call
offers
it poison because it's poison in essence.
Yes, because he's going to be giving his soul up if he were to eat it, which is... Adam and Eve. Basically, we're watching Adam and Eve's the story of the origin of man played out.
How Adam was working for another girl, Lilith.
Woo! Yes, this is basically the Bible all over again. Okay, so but saving Johnny Bravo, Taya screams into the phone and he has to run away.
Did
Adam have to get dog food,
did Adam,
which is funny because he has the dog.
And the dog's not even real. Yes.
Did Adam have a little plush dog that he?
Yeah, it was in the subtext. It was in the extended universe. It was in the comic.
Was it insinuated?
It was in the comic.
If Adam would have had his cell phone on him, God could have called him, and he would have never bit the apple.
That's the moral of this story.
Keep your cell phones charged, guys. That's how people can save you. Keep your cell phones charged. You're welcome.
It was a great little segment. I love Rosemary. I like where this is going.
Yes.
I love Rosemary.
Elgin promo. I wrote in quotes, "Wake me up when it's over." I think that was me reminding myself to wake up whenever Elgin was
I woke
done.
up when Ken Shamrock came out.
Yes, Shamrock jumped him, and we're going to get a program there. Okay, here's the thing. He's talking about how tough he is and how he wants to fight everybody and all this other stuff. Shamrock runs out there and jumps him, and he runs from the dude and leaves. Why?
It's Ken Shamrock.
But he's Elgin. I mean, he's literally been willing to fight anybody at all times ever, and he just runs. I don't get that. And I get that it's Shamrock. I mean, I wouldn't want to fight him.
No.
I wouldn't want to fight any of them. But you know what I mean? Even if I was a good fighter, I wouldn't want to fight that dude. But he's crazy. Anyway, someone took out Trey Miguel, and so we have to have a substitute for our number one contenders match.
Yes.
And it winds up being Wentz,
who has wrestled previously in that tag match earlier.
Not that long ago.
Not even half the show.
Yeah, and Ace Austin is the other wrestler in this thing, and we get ourselves a fantastic match in this show.
Match was awesome. These guys are both fantastic workers, and they really brought it with this one.
Yeah.
Wentz selling the fact that this was the second time he was wrestled. He was exhausted, but he was doing it for his friend,
right?
His teammate,
right? Also, I feel like Wentz also kind of sold the fact that he realized this was a big opportunity for him.
Oh, absolutely.
And he was great. He was creative. He doesn't get to wrestle as a solo wrestler a lot, and so we got to see that. He's in there with the best. Ace is a fantastic wrestler.
Absolutely.
And Ace winds up winning on the fold, which is a great finish to have. It's the kind of thing you can put on anybody. It can happen. All you got to do is have a guy bend over, and you can do it, and it's just fantastic. So we got a new number one contender, both for the tag team championship and for the heavyweight gold. And we are going to move on. The easy episode.
Great wrestling.
Great wrestling. And we are moving on to the main event of the evening, the week, AEW Dynamite. Hangman Page and Kenny Omega versus Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc is our first match of the day. What did you think about it?
I thought it was a really good match. I really like all the people in the match. God, I just love seeing Hangman again. Hangman's probably my favorite AEW wrestler.
Kenny Omega is great. This was really good. This was really, really good. Sabian's is so good.
Yes.
And Havoc, I didn't get it when they first got together, but as they've kind of meshed, with Havoc being not a bruiser, but a more of a
violent brawler, almost.
Correct. And, willing to cheat, whereas Kip is willing to cheat, but sometimes you wonder, why are you bothering to? Because you're pretty good. Maybe you could do this without all that. Whereas with Havoc, I don't have those issues at all. It's just like, and I think that Havoc comes off as a more nice guy, but just more willing to hurt himself and others to get where he's trying to go.
That's just who he is as a person. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right. He grew up liking horror and liking.
Like, it's not, like, when he cheats, it's not entirely malicious. Like, if they did it to him, he wouldn't be like, well, how can they do that? That's just the way he wrestles. You know what I mean?
Correct. And so, and like you said, Hangman's really clicking right now. The character work for him is good, and Kenny Omega being great. This was wonderful, and then they hit the last call for the win. Great way to start your show out. Brian Cage versus Shawn Dean. We get what you would expect, a cage squash match. Taz winds up calling out Moxley. Moxley shows up. I'll be honest with you, he talked better than Taz. Taz was fine, but Mox can talk, man.
Mox can talk.
And I was a little surprised that I expected when they got nose to nose for it to be more like nose to throat. But Mox might even be a little taller than.
Oh yeah, Brian Cage isn't like tall. You know what I mean? He's big, but he's not like tall.
Correct.
I think Moxley might be almost as thick as Brian too.
Yeah, but he's not like as muscled, like the muscle mass.
Right, there may be 15 to 20 pounds difference in weight, and Mox may have an inch on him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Something like that, depending on how straight up and down Cage is standing. But I was a little surprised by that because I thought I was going to be looking at. Well, let's face it. I mean, he was facing Archer and Brody. And those guys are giants.
Those guys are huge.
You know what I mean? So when he was in there dealing with that, he didn't face Archer yet.
No, but
also
wasn't Brody Lee? Pretty sure he's about the same height.
It's just huge.
Also, wasn't Mox,
I think he's bigger than Archer.
Wasn't Mox the shortest guy in the Shield?
I think he might have been, but
he was. I feel like he was about the same height as
him. And Seth are about the same.
He wasn't by much if he was.
Right. But none of those guys. Even Roman's not a big Roman's a stout,
like 6'2", 6'3".
A stout man, but he's not.
He's not like a giant, you know what I mean?
Well, he doesn't look like a giant because
he's not 6'5" like Archer.
Yeah, 6'5".
Well, you gotta remember the people that they've been putting Roman up against. Like, the second after he got out, they put him up against Big Show and Kane.
Yeah,
like who are like legitimately super tall.
They're like Big Show's legitimately like.
But this is not.
There's a lot of with heights. There's like a lot of perspective.
Right. Although this is not a WWE podcast, so let's get back to normal here. Okay. Cage is standing there, and Mox is giving him the business on a stick, and he drops the stick and he walks away. And Cage never once took a stride toward him. Did that make sense to you?
No, I feel like he should have walked towards him intimidatingly.
And Taz had said something like, back off, or, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like Taz should have.
That should have been like, hey, we'll deal with him in due time.
Right, but if the way we wind up going with this long term is Taz sicks his dog on you when he wants to, then that'll make sense down the road. But right here in this moment, I felt like, oh, we're going to get it right here, and we didn't, which is fine. Save the fisticuffs for later, but it rubbed me weird. Colt Cabana versus Chris Jericho. Very good match.
Very good match.
Two older guys that can really go. Boom, boom.
Jericho was great.
Was it good or entertaining?
Both.
It was both. I would say both.
It was both. They can both still go.
I like that moment where Chris faked him out for the Superman pin, and then went for the walls of Jericho.
Right.
That was a great.
It was fluid.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see Colton for a second. He was like, "Wait," and he's like, "Oh, I guess I gotta."
Mhm.
And they fell for it.
Right. Absolutely. Now, is Boom Boom going to the Dark Order?
I think that
They're trying.
I don't think that he will, but I do like, at the very least, the presence of them in losing wrestlers. Or he's not even losing, but just not winning the big ones. People who are disappointed in themselves.
Right.
I like them being at least present in those situations.
Always. Just be omnipresent.
Yeah,
Whenever somebody doubts themselves, be
on
that
the corners,
voice.
always bleeding in the edges.
Well, you never know when
You
somebody
never know.
will roll your route.
Evidently, Alan Angels, the guy who has been on Dark a lot, who had good matches with a couple different people.
Right.
He is apparently in the Dark Order.
Good deal. Good deal. Now, Jericho wants to fight Tyson, and he wants the baddest man on the planet, and instead he gets Orange Cassidy.
I do have to say, I did miss last week, the episode. I will say that I'm just not very excited about this Tyson angle.
At all.
No.
Okay.
I just don't. To me, it's just.
Honestly, I'm too scared of the match happening to.
Well, here's what's interesting, though. You got Tyson at the pay-per-view
I think a much better feud.
He was taking a nap.
during the match.
I
Yeah.
think a much better feud is Mike Tyson versus his own shirt.
He was having trouble at the paper.
But, okay, now here's the
last
thing,
week.
though, is they didn't go that route, though. Instead of giving you Tyson versus Jericho like he wanted,
yeah.
instead, he called out Tyson and Orange Cassidy showed, and then when Orange evades them, he goes over there with his buddies, and it looks as if maybe the Inner Circle is about to get into it with the Best Friends.
I think there was a match set up for next week with the Best Friends versus Santana and Ortiz,
Right.
I think, which is awesome.
Right, so you kick that can down the road a little bit and give us an Orange Cassidy Jericho feud, and if Sammy can get healthy, get him in there a little bit here and there, but that could be, I don't know about great, but it can be fun.
Entertaining.
Absolutely. And the matches will be better than you think. And the Best Friends and Santana and Ortiz can have a great.
They could tear it up.
Yes, absolutely. So let's do this. I'm excited about that. Now then we get the obligatory Britt Baker segment where she has
Why?
a training video. What'd you think? You liked it?
Training video was hilarious.
Why?
when she was dragging that like 2-pound weight behind her wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Tony showing up at the end.
Why is Britt still have screen time?
Because her character work has been great.
Why
Her character
aren't you
work is like one of the best in the company.
Why aren't they giving wrestlers better than her the time?
Dude, she's really popular.
Then
Is
Big
she?
Big
Yeah.
Big Swole
Dang.
People love these segments.
versus Nyla Rose is the match,
I like that
and
match.
it was fine. And then
I like Big Swole.
it turned into another Britt Baker segment.
Yes.
Why?
I guess setting up a feud for Big Swole and Britt.
I am not excited for that match.
I'm excited for Big Swole getting
Why?
this thing.
Why did Big Swole curse at MJF?
Dude, because they were
What?
like saying stuff to her and she
Were
was
they?
heated.
I thought they were just like standing there, and she just went, "Shut up!"
Oh no, she said something that they had to censor.
Yeah, my thing with Britt is that I just don't hear this whole show. I got 3 women wrestlers on it, and Britt not only was the dominant force in her own vignette, she was the front and back end of a match that had nothing to do with her. Now I get it, we're going to wind up going into a program something else, and maybe she's not really that hurt, and so we will get this Big Swole thing soon. By the same token, a whole lot of women wrestlers in this company, and I'm not getting any of them. You know, and that's
I
what
do think
rubs
this
me
episode
funny.
was taped, so I don't know if they taped a couple episodes. So I'm not sure. Like, that's one of the situations where it's like, well, the people wrestling on this show might be wrestling on next week's episode, but at the same time, they have a bunch of women wrestlers.
I'd like to see someone get a chance to work.
I'd like
That's
to
all.
see Chris Statlander and Penelope Ford.
Sure, but anyway, let's move on because, like you said, a lot of people disagree with me on all this, which is fine too.
I don't think anyone, I don't know, people, I don't think they're as under much illusion as to how good Britt Baker is in the ring, but I do like her character work, and people do like the segments with Tony and all that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, Shivani interviews. I love this part. Shivani interviews the Follow the Rules wrestling team, FTR.
Follow the Rules or For the Revolution. Two ideas that are very in tune.
F the Revival.
Yes.
Forever,
the Revival.
No longer. Now, they wind up interviewing back and forth. We're glad to be here type thing. And then that turns into we can't wait to wrestle. And they name every tag team in the company other than the Young Bucks.
It was like a good, like almost worked shoot, if that makes sense.
It was perfect. It was perfect. Then when he says you didn't mention the Young Bucks, they go, why would we mention them? And then I wish they would have kept going down this road of they don't mean anything to us. They chose to say it a different way, which is they do mean something. Why would I mention them? You love them. Everybody else loves them. They're calling them match of the year. Meltzer's gushing over them all the time. And I knew this was how they felt. I just kind of wish they would have said it different, but it was fine and it was actually perfect. And then you have the Butcher, the Blade with no bunny.
No bunny, because she's doing something else.
Smitten with something else, right? And so they wind up getting into it, and I love the way Tony got out of there the minute he saw this was fixing to go south.
Tony's been in the wrestling business
a long time.
He knows what's
when
up.
they were going to start throwing punches, he needed to be somewhere else. Love Tony Schiavone. He's the greatest. Archer beats up random person near, looks like an off-ramp of an unfinished freeway, maybe.
Yeah, that's about what it looks like, yeah.
And Jake was apologizing for what Archer was doing, which I didn't get that at all because
I felt like the segment was to show that he was kind of scared of Archer.
Yes.
In a way.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was part of it, but it was a little weird.
Right, but I liked that Archer got to talk.
Yes.
Archer did a great job talking, and he felt formidable. And random worker obviously feels he's formidable as well.
Got the business.
He scared the interviewer. Jake did a good job of, like you said, seeming afraid. So it was fine. I thought it was good, well done.
I'm excited to see what they'll do with Lance Archer.
And then we get to what I consider our main event of the evening. Every evening.
The Sean Spears segment?
No. I forgot about it.
That was when Tully because
talks
they showed him a little clip of him yelling at Sean Spears. Is like, is this what you want to do? Is this what you want to be your legacy?
Right.
Then he's like, he gets him in the car and he's like, listen, the search for Spears' partner is over. He gives him a black glove.
He hands him the black glove.
Dad, did anyone in the Four Horsemen or anyone linked to Tully have a fingerless black glove that you remember?
No.
Okay.
But JR and Tony did put over the black glove.
They went.
It possesses people?
No, they said a black glove has a long history in pro wrestling of being blah 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 blah. I don't. Seth wears one.
What?
I don't.
But Kane
that's the only one I can think of.
Like Kane wears a full glove.
I thought he had two though.
The Undertaker?
Yeah. No, Kane has.
Taker wore two.
Biker Taker has to have had like. He wore two, yeah.
Yeah, he wore two. That's what I'm saying. I don't remember a black glove being a thing.
Kane wore a full glove on his hand that he punched the throats of people.
Yeah, he would tighten the glove on his hand and then he would smack him right in the throat. Yeah.
But like that's, I don't know. I don't know exactly what the I kind of get the symbolism. I guess I get it because it's like
what
people who wear gloves are like tougher brawl. I don't know.
But like who else?
No, I don't mind it. It's just it was strange to me that they tried to put it over like there was this long history of it. And it's entirely possible that next week they will hit me with 10 wrestlers that I have forgotten wore a black glove.
Maybe it's like an old school thing. You know what I mean? Maybe it was like when Tully was just starting to work or something. Like,
right. Who knows? And if not, they can make it up.
I don't mind at all. That's perfectly fine with me.
You know, you can tell me, Blackjack Mulligan wore a black glove, even if he didn't.
Charles Manson wore a black glove. You can tell me that. I don't. Who knows?
Right. Let's don't do that. Let's don't do that. Okay. Anyway.
So Sean Spears holds the legacy.
Cody.
Charles Manson.
Cody versus Jungle Boy in what was a lot.
Cody's matches have the tendency to be a bit over. I don't want to say overbooked, but just too much in some places. He did not need to blade.
Cody's matches are extended versions of his entrances.
Yes.
My problem.
The match was good.
The match was good.
I didn't have a problem. He's gonna blade. All right. Like, I've just kind of
It's in his blood.
I've kind of accepted that. Because he's, you know.
I mean, to be fair,
they're trying to do the whole. They're trying to do the this is PG-13, guys.
He's the only person.
We say the SH word on PG-13.
I will say this is technically the second time that he's bladed, but he's been like busted open several times as well.
But I had a problem with the camera.
He literally got blood on the camera.
So Cody winds up blading. He turns his face to make sure we see that a lot.
And just waves it in front of the
camera.
camera.
He literally just gets blood like on the camera.
They have a good little wrestling match. They wind up with Cody and Jungle Boy towards the end of the match. Go ahead.
I'm going to describe what happened. There was a table. Jungle Boy and Cody, they were on the top rope. They're kind of dangling. There was a table where they were going to land. I'm guessing Jungle Boy should have landed on that table, but since Jungle Boy would have probably died, Cody landed on it. But someone probably told Cody, hey, we got 3 minutes on the clock. Hey,
yeah.
Gotta wrap this up. And then he went, well, screw selling this.
Gets up,
throws him in the ring, hits him with that was a killer crossroads though. But
it was a really good crossroads.
But
Jungle Boy sold it like a champ.
But table did nothing. Tables do not affect.
Let me explain this. In kayfabe, listen, see, wrestling moves, for them to hurt, they require intent. And that includes going through tables. See, you can get hit by a car, but as long as they didn't mean for like hit you with the car, you'll be fine. It's intent that matters. You can go through a table.
So the fact that they accidentally fell off the turnbuckle.
Accidents. It was not.
There was no intent there.
No intention.
So my theory. You remember the Dudley Boys? Their catchphrase was "Blood is thicker than wood."
Yes.
So, what if Cody's blood acted as a body shield as he fell?
Yes.
Big brain.
Big brain time.
Okay.
What's your theory, Kev?
My theory is we had what should have been, if they would have taken out, okay, you have the spot where Cody tries to headbutt, Jungle Boy hits his head on the wall that has actual padding there to protect him. And then Jungle Boy gets in an argument with MJF, turns around, Cody's a bloody mess. Cody spends a lot of time now looking at the camera during it, and then they do the fall through the table. He throws him back in the ring quickly. He gets the move. If you eliminate Jungle Boy turning to MJF, so that would also entail eliminating the blade. If you eliminate the table fall, and you just have the match, it's 4 stars.
Absolutely.
Maybe
it was great.
Maybe 3.75.
Listen,
because of all of the shenanigans, it was a whatever moment.
It was,
and that. Now I lean that way anyway in wrestling.
Listen,
right? If you overbook with me, it's the only way to really.
Cody
go ahead.
is consistent. 3 stars out the wazoo.
If he wrestles too good, he has to include shenanigans to keep it.
Well, I'll tell you, just so you can kind of get my. And this was a very fun night.
I 100% agree with you.
It was a very fun night. We all enjoyed it. But just to tell you how I think about pro wrestling, right? And it's so silly. You have The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. Whenever somebody says Shawn Michaels has a great match, name his greatest matches, I never put that Taker Hell in a Cell match in there. What do you mean? It's the first time we saw Kane. Yeah, and Kane kind of won the match for him. Okay, now I'm saying that it ruined a match between a dead person and a guy with hearts on his butt where they climb around a ring and then
there's a giant cage.
It ruined it because there were shenanigans. Come on, the whole thing was shenanigans. But for me personally, I can't count that as one of his great things because somebody else came in and won it for him. But that's pro wrestling in so many different ways. But I personally am the guy who's like, give me Kurt Angle and
just put them in a ring and let them wrestle.
Right. I don't mind shenanigans sometimes, but I'd also like to see matches finish.
Yes, gosh. I 100% agree. And I always feel this with Cody matches because though it's like Arn's there might be a run-in from one of his family members. Like
Arn's there, Jake's
wife.
there, Snake's there,
just
wife's there, his brother's there.
He's bleeding.
There's a guy eating an apple over there on the side. What's that for?
And it's just like, I think these matches that he's had are all good.
Listen,
they have like
right.
good
If you just do the
story.
wrestling part,
like it was a good story that they were telling. That
Yes.
he just kind of had the experience.
and when he hits the crossroads and gets the win,
Listen.
and he picks the guy, even that was overblown, right? Because he picked the guy up and he shook his hand, and Jungle Boy kind of letting Big Brother him a little bit. And again, Cody's a big deal, but Cody's not a big deal in the way that you didn't just go with Bret Hart right there. You know what I mean? You should have shook his hand and been like, yeah, get him next time. We achieved something big right here. Hold your hands up. Walk out of there. Let's don't act like, go.
I feel like that's almost purposeful, because in my mind it's just like there's no way that he can just do that in and out, and it just is just okay with it being like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where especially the last part where they were like the after-match celebration, that felt like, it just felt like
So forced.
There's no way he's not doing that on purpose to kind of foreshadow his own.
See,
I don't
that's
think-
what I hope you're right. I hope you're
Oh,
right,
dude,
because
if
I
he
hope
does
that
that-
they are totally pushing the Cody's ego, and eventually Cody's ego outruns the goodwill he's built up by
Yes.
giving us this wrestling company, right?
Because if they're going that direction, it's masterful.
Correct, because they've been working on it. It's a slow burn, and it's perfect.
And if they do that, if not, wow, Cody's got a big head. Just
Right.
in real life.
Right.
However,
But both, they don't have to be, both can be true.
Both can be true, absolutely. So
And-
many good wrestling stories are tinged with reality.
And to be honest with you, it would take a person to have a great deal of self-confidence to have had Cody's career, which, like, you can say what you want about Stardust, you can say what you want about Dashy Cody Rhodes. A lot of pro wrestlers would have had that career and been happy with it, and re-signed and continued that. And when Hunter said, "Well, I don't think you're a main eventer," they'd have been like, "Well, that's cool. I'll just stay here and make a bunch of money."
All right, yeah.
That wasn't enough for Cody, and that's okay. And he went on and became a big, became a big deal in every company he was in. And you can say whatever you want. The promo he gave last week, where he said, "I wasn't given Dustin's talents. I was given my mom's talents." It's so true when you watch him. He is a force of nature, but it's not because of the way he wrestles. It's because of the mentality that I will outwork you. I am a big deal because the Bobby Brown thing. Bobby Brown, if you don't know who Bobby Brown is, he was in a group called New Edition. Bobby Brown was probably the least physically talented of the group, in my opinion. But Bobby Brown thought he was a star. He knew he was a star. He told you he was a star till you believed he was a star. And he had hits on 2 straight albums. He was a big deal in pop culture for a moment or two before everything went haywire. Cody, to me, is the same thing. I'm a big deal because I believe I'm a big deal, and I'll make you believe I'm a big deal.
And it has been successful.
It is. It works, and I love it. Okay, all right. Anyway, he's my best friend, first of all. I know this because he is absolutely my best. He told me happy birthday yesterday. Thank you, Coachster. Appreciate it, brother. 4, Go Home Heat, for Jared, for Ray, for myself, KP.
Me.
This has been a copyright 2020 Go Home Heat production. Go home.